I sit in front of a plate of filet mignon with a side of grilled asparagus, sprinkled with a bit of Parmesan cheese. Ordinarily, Hieronymus didn't approve of me drinking, but he did allow me to have some red wine with dinner. I even showered and put on a simple dress for the occasion. Even though we were just sitting at a table in his room, the one small candle glowing in the center of the room did help set a certain mood. "Is this to your liking?" Hieronymus asks, although he seems to be genuinely fishing for my approval. "It is," I reply with a smirk on my lips, taking a sip of wine. "Although I have to say, I think you might be trying to get me drunk so I spill all my secrets." "You're getting the one glass, and that's it," Hieronymus warns me. "Besides, I thought after our last conversation we agreed not to keep secrets from each other." And yet we still continue to argue. We stare at each other for a moment, and I turn my attention to the food. I don't know why we can't just communicate better. When did it get like this? Things in the summer were great compared to where we are now. How did things get worse instead of better? "I'm worried about you," Hieronymus says with absolutely no preamble whatsoever. He continues to eat, though, as though there wasn't anything wrong. "You haven't been going to class. You haven't spoken to Daniel in a while. You don't even seem to spend much time with your friends, with the exception of Miss Middleton, and you know how I feel about that. You spend most of your day in the library and then come back here to sleep. You're barely eating, and sometimes when I ask how you are, you just continue to sit there with a blank look on your face as if you don't even hear me." Oh. I stop eating as I look down at my plate. I thought that Hieronymus and I had been mutually ignoring each other, but maybe the only one who was checking out was just me. I'm sorry about that, Hieronymus. I am. I don't know what I can do but apologize." "You don't need to apologize," Hieronymus says, as if surprised. "You seem upset. I feel like sometimes you forget this, but I do care about you, Tori. I want to work with you, not against you. If something is wrong, I want to help." I take a deep breath and sigh as I turn back to my food. It's really good, and I have to admit, I don't really remember the last time I've sat down and ate a solid meal. The reason I am spending so much time with Ellen is because one of her friends is having a personal crisis at the moment, I explain. He raises an eyebrow, but is quiet as he lets me continue. "I don't know how to help her, and you don't need to offer because it's a girl thing. It's not about a boy. It's just big existential life stuff. About death. And memories making you who you are. Stuff like that. It's why Ellen thought that I could help, but I don't know if I can." Hieronymus just nods a few times to himself. "I can understand why you think you have a unique perspective to help her friend," he replies. "But must I remind you that you cannot pour from an empty cup, Tori? I understand that you want to help everyone. It's one of your most admirable qualities, but you need to start taking care of yourself first. For one, you need to start going back to class." "I know," I say with a sigh. "I know, I will. I can read books anytime, but I only have a year and a half left in a classroom. I should make the most of it while I can." I look up at him. How have you been doing?" Hieronymus just shakes his head. "I don't like it when we fight, Tori. You know this. It's extremely hard for me to focus when I worry about you going out there and doing something rash or irresponsible because you're frustrated with me and something I've done." "Well, that I do have to apologize for," I say, glancing down at my plate again. "What I don't understand is, why the sneaking out at night?" Hieronymus asks. "I understand you want to help your friend, but I'm still getting the impression that there's something you don't want me to know, Tori. Do you have feelings for this friend you've been helping?" I shake my head. "I'll tell you the truth if you tell me if you're jealous." "Of course I'm jealous," Hieronymus replies without missing a beat. Even if you have no romantic interest in their person, you clearly seem to value them so much that you've stopped going to class, talking to me, and venture out at all hours of the night in the dead of winter at the expense of your own health." "Oh," I say softly. He had a point. I would do the same thing for you, you know. Hieronymous shakes his head. "I would never want you to sacrifice your health for me. I don't want you to have to sacrifice anything for me, Tori. I want us to bring out the best in each other. We should be there to support and bolster each other, and neither one of us has been doing a great job of that lately." "I'm just stressed out, I think," I say with a sigh. "Things will be easier in the summer when classes aren't in session. I guess part of the problem is I miss you. You're always working so late, grading papers and teaching classes and fulfilling all of your administrative duties that I feel like I hardly have any time to see you. I'll be even busier when I start training my replacement," Hieronymous reminds me. "But it's temporary, Tori. Just remember that. It's temporary, and it doesn't affect my feelings for you in any way. I'm sure we would both like to spend all day in each other's company, but it can't be done. At least, not right now." "What about spring break?" I ask suddenly as I look up at him. "Do we have any plans for spring break? I remember we had a pretty good spring break last year, if moving into your room and recovering from almost dying had anything to do about it." Hieronymous shakes his head, but I can see his shy smile as he takes another forkful of food. "Yes, well, Mr. Callister's parents have made it clear that they are not coming to visit him, nor will they arrange passage for him back to his homeland for only a week. They have, however, requested that I be amenable to any sights he wishes to see during his brief time in America. I haven't discussed submitting a proposal to his parents with him yet, but I will need to have that meeting with him soon." I can't help but slump down in my chair. "So you're basically stuck spending spring break babysitting Daniel?" "I am spending spring break accompanying wherever Mr. Callister wishes to go on vacation," he replies. "Within reason, of course." "So if Daniel says he wants to go to Hawaii, you take him to Hawaii for a week?" I ask, and Hieronymous nods. I can't help but sulk as I sink back in my chair. "Lame." Hieronymous raises an eyebrow. "You have seen the way we simply tolerate each other. Don't you think we would need a mediator of sorts to help smooth things along?" I can't help but smirk as I sit up again. "You know, it would have been nice for you to let me know I was invited from the beginning so I didn't have to question it." "I'm sorry," Hieronymous says. "I just thought it was implied. Wherever I go, I don't want to go alone, especially on a tropical beach getaway. Aside from reading a book on a beach, I can think of very little that will hold my attention." "There might be cool cultural museums," I offer, "or sunken shipwrecks. We could go scuba diving, or learn to fish, learn to surf, taste the local cuisine, learn about cultural customs." I let my voice trail off as I blush. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to go surfing, but I could do that with Daniel, and then we could go to museums together later. Or go to the museums first, and then while you're resting or whatnot, then Daniel and I could go surfing. We could make it work. "You seem to have given this some thought," Hieronymous muses as he turns his attention back to his plate. "Hey, you said I should go to class, not that I had to pay attention," I say with a light smirk. "Honestly, sometimes class is just boring. I daydream." "Oh yes, I remember your daydreams," Hieronymous replies, and I know he's talking about the time he peeked in on my dream while I fell asleep in the library. Yeah, I say as I roll my eyes. "You're just lucky that the real thing is just as good, if not better, than what I dreamed of." His eyes flash in the dim light as he smirks at me, and I can't help but grin back at him. For a moment, I forget that we had been fighting the past few weeks, that I had been second-guessing our relationship. "How did things suddenly seem back to normal between us?" I ask him. "We've spent the past few weeks skirting around each other like roommates, and now I feel like a girl with a bad crush on you all over again." Hieronymous just smiles as he shakes his head. "That's an easy one. because we both want to make this relationship work, Tori. Despite our arguments, we do genuinely care about each other, and we do genuinely want to stay together. Granted, our arguments seem more frequent than I would care to admit, but as long as we learn from them and use them to help bring us closer, our relationship will survive. Good. I pushed my plate away from me and realized that Hieronymous has stopped eating as well. So, how did you want to spend the rest of the night? Hieronymus's eyes drift towards the bed and then back to me. I can't help but bite my lip as I grin, my cheeks growing hot. We could always relive that dream I had last year. Hieronymus smiles. Now there's a start.